was a dominant force, a connected and interactive public figure. The second medalist and her contemporary, weaver Annie Albers, is indeed private, but her vision and perceptive writings will still enliven the next millennium. After these first weavers, we gave gold medals, rightfully, to Harvey Littleton, Peter Vokus, Lucy Lewis, Lenore Tawney, Sam Maloof, and Ed Rosbach. It is meet tonight that we acknowledge the first ACC gold medal to a medalsmith and only the third to a potter. What do all of these share with tonight's recipients? Long, successful careers, varying only degrees of direct influence on other craftsmen. In all cases, hands-on media involvement, usually in an involving spectrum of approaches to medium and form. They share a persistent integrity. They share a level of excellence sustained over decades. I have heard that we are honoring Beatrice Woods and Jack Prip tonight. Can we consider that they, who have honor, are honoring us? It then seems only reasonable that we, whose honor is yet unproven, pay them the tribute of our highest goal. John Prip, FACC, known to many of his friends as Jack, is a metalsmith of the highest order, a designer for industry and of unique pieces, a fine, dedicated teacher, and a mentor for 2 generations of younger smiths. In 1948, he came to America to head the metal shop at the then New School for American Craftsmen, founded by Mrs. Vanderbilt Webb, and so an affiliate of ACC. When that school moved to Rochester, Jack became co-founder of Shop One, a pioneer gallery for the new wave of handmade wares and a testing ground for the saleability of work coming out of top studios. Then, after 3 years as resident artist craftsman for Reed and Barton, he headed medals for the Fine Arts Museum School in Boston, the country's oldest, and then went on to make the metal shop at RISD one of the hemisphere's finest. As a teacher, he was as demanding of his students as of himself. He gave the discipline and direction which they are the richer for. Paul Smith, the American Crafts Museum's Director Emeritus, wrote, "For 4 decades, John Prip has set the standards of excellence in American metalsmithing. His contribution to the American craft movement is unique. As an artist, teacher, designer for industry, he has expanded the scope of contemporary metalsmithing." Jack, will you step up?
Well, it occurred to me several weeks ago, I knew this day would sitting here and I've been hearing all these wonderful things people have been saying, and I've been somewhat overwhelmed because this has brought back so many things, so many fond memories, and I've sort of waves of nostalgia have been sweeping over me while I've been sitting here. And all the while I've been thinking, you know, what can I say? Really, what can I say that will convey what I really feel about a moment like this? Because it's more, obviously, much more than something I have here in my pocket or a piece of paper. This is my life, you know. And I have to go back along with a number of other people have mentioned it, but especially Rose Sleepka touched on certain things that really moved me in a way and brought back thoughts that I've had. It has to do with the overwhelming change that has taken place within the crafts and I'd say 40 or 50 years. You know, I've been involved for a long time. It's extremely difficult. Well, as a teacher, I occasionally would try to convey this to my students. So tell me, you know, you have no idea what it was like, you know. And I could see the blank stares that would come back at me that no, they did not have it, and they didn't, and it would be meaningless for me to really attempt to convey this to them. I'll still give it sort of a shot in a way here, because there were no museums, certainly not a splendid museum such as this one. There were very few shows, museum shows. There were very few publications. There were galleries were something we could sort of dream about. The level of acceptance was something we could only sort of hope for in a way. And what it really was, though, was a bunch of very highly enthusiastic people that somehow decided that they were going to make this thing happen. And one thought came to mind while I was listening here. It had to do with Paul. I don't know whether I've ever mentioned this to him, but my work brought me to New York occasionally, and I had to go around and look and see what was going on with the company I was working for at the time. And I would usually combine that with pleasure. I had one special friend down here, a painter, who would go out and tour take him to bars and things like that. And I would usually end up going back to my hotel at 2 or 3 in the morning. And on more than one occasion, walking down 53rd Street, which that's the problem, museum was on the other side of the street. I would see Paul in there, with his sisters, working at 2 in the morning, you know, sitting up, getting the show ready. They'd have drapes across there, and I was there and see what was going on. It was, I don't know, I mean, I'm not suggesting in any way that people do not put that level of enthusiasm forth today. But of course, since I was associated with that period, it seems rather special to me. And, I wish to thank all of you for having me here, you know, being here, and especially the ACC for just being, because if it had not been for the ACC, especially I guess for Mrs. Webb inviting me here, this country, although I was born in the United States, I lived in Europe for a number of years, and the invitation from Mrs. Webb, I came back in 1948, and it has just, I have lived a life that is so much richer than I think than any I would otherwise have known had it not been for the ACC and the I would say the environment created through the effort of the many people involved. And that, you know, it's given me an opportunity to do so many things I would not have done. So I wish to thank all of you for allowing me to do this.
Jack Prip, and please know that the city is still abuzz with their excitement for your retrospective in these halls. When I originally met Beatrice Wood, FACC, at the first ACC conference, 1957 in the CLIR, she was already legendary. At America House and on the pages of House Beautiful, her richly colorful glazes stood out from a sea of brown stoneware. We also wondered how she threw pots while wearing all those bangles. But in the Southern California climate of her teachers, Glenn Lucas and the Nathlers, and the innovations of Vocos and Otis, her work seemed just outside the mainstream. Many of us became a little more caught up with her about 10 years ago because of a retrospective exhibition hosted by Dexter Frankel at Fullerton, with a correlative showing of her current work in her 90th year. Just prior, the eminent art dealer, Garth Clark, began showing her this work in his Los Angeles and New York galleries, and then with the publication of her autobiography, I Shot Myself, which brought us some comprehension of a long, brilliant life in several cycles. That this work has grown ever stronger and more vibrant is to the credit of the artist and perhaps her broad support of friends and collectors. We've come.
Pottery when I was 38. Now, there's no road to what is art. Brancusi, the great sculptor, said he never looked at anybody else's work. So, when I began pottery, I had no intention of becoming really a potter. I just enjoyed playing with clay. But I got some great teachers. I became more interested. And so a bowl began to be something to me. But what I did, because until then, I'd never looked at craft. I'd only looked at paintings. So I began going to museums and galleries and getting art books. And slowly, all kinds of wonderful ideas began developing in my mind. I think museums are torches of light in this dark world because they preserve the grace, the creativity of the human race. All the best of man has been preserved by museums. And I know their impact on me. And though I don't exactly copy, I can say the impact of the great museums, the great craftsmen, the great artists have fired my imagination. And now I love to work in clay, and I'm so full of ideas that sadly, I've almost given up thoughts of men. It's extraordinary how many thousands and thousands have gone into the crafts, and what really wonderful and fascinating crafts are developing. And I think it's great because that this energy goes towards creativity, towards beauty, instead of towards objects of destruction.
Apologize for the late hour, but I'm sure you agree with me, this was well worth it. Till next year, and the 1993 American Craft Council Awards, good night.